Hi, my name is Gilang. I'm a MBA ITB Regular 46B student. In this occasion, I will try to explain the Chapter 12 of Managerial Economics in a Global Economy by Dominic Salvatore. The title chapter is Regulation and Antitrust, the role of government in the economy.
So, first things first, what is regulation? According to the economic theory of regulation, regulation is the result of preserved action and result in law and policies to support business and to protect consumers, workers, and environment. Some of these regulations may to restrict the competition and create artificial market power. This regulation includes licensing and patent. Licensing is usually justified to ensure a minimum degree of competence and become a method to restrict entry into business. And patent is the right granted by federal government to an inventor for the exclusive use of invention for a period of 17 years. The granting of limited monopoly to the inventor is aimed at encouraging inventions, but it also leads to output restriction and higher prices. And then there is Robinson-Patman Act passed in 1936 that restrict price competitor by forbidding selling more cheaply to one buyer or in one market than to other, or selling at unreasonably low price with intent to destroying competition or eliminating competitor. There are also regulations to protect consumers against unfair business practice. The first type of policy designed to protect consumers is that of requiring truthful disclosure and forbidding the misrepresentation of product. One of example is Food and Drug Act at 1906. This act forbids adulteration and mislabeling of foods and drugs sold in interstate commerce. The act was strengthened to also include cosmetics in 1938. Another example of regulation to protect the consumer is Federal Trade Commission Act of 1914. This act was designed to protect firms against unfair method of competition based on misrepresentation, but it also provided significant protection to consumers. Among practices that forbidden by the act were misrepresentation of price of products, country of origin, usefulness of product, and the quality of product. This act was amended by the Willard-Lee Act of 1938, which forbids false or deceptive advertisement. Another example of regulation to protect consumers is 1990 Nutrition Labeling Act. The FDA mandated more strict labeling requirements on all food sold in United States. The second type of regulation designed to protect consumers is the Truth in Lending Law. This is based on Consumer Credit Protection Act of 1968, which requires lenders to make complete and accurate disclosure to borrowers. The third type of consumer protection is provided by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, which was established in 1972 to protect consumers from dangerous products, provide product information to consumers, and develop uniform safety standards for many products. Other laws designed to protect consumers are the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1971, which grants credit applicants the right to examine their credit file and forbidding credit discrimination based on race, sex, marital status, and age. And there is Warranty Act of 1975, which requires clear explanation of warranties, indicate which parts are covered, and explain how consumer can exercise the right granted by the warranty. And there is National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which impose safety standards on traffic. Okay, now one of example of regulation protecting workers are Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which specifies safety standards in the workplace such as noxious gases and chemicals, noise levels, and other hazards. Another example is Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which regulates hiring and firing practices. And then minimum wage laws, which put a floor on wages that business can pay to hire labor. Now, let's see example of regulation protecting the environment. In 1970, EPA or Environmental Protection Agency was created. EPA regulates environmental usage and enforces environmental legislation. One of regulation issued by EPA is Clean Air Act of 1990, which requires reduction in overall pollution, and it also established a market for pollution permits, which means firms must have or buy permits to produce certain level of pollution. Now, let's talk about externalities. Externalities are harmful or beneficial side effects of the production or consumption of some products. So, by definition, externalities can be harmful or beneficial. According to the public interest theory of regulation, regulation is justified when it is undertaken to overcome market failures, and externalities can be the one that cause market failures. In terms of production or consumption, There are external diseconomies and external economies of production or consumption. The keyword for external diseconomies of production or consumption is uncompensated cost. This cost imposed on firm or individual who are not expand their output or consume a product. And for external economies of production, there are uncompensated benefits conferred by firms or individuals by increasing expansion of output of firms or in consumption of individuals. Let's see, there are two panels. The left panel shows that the best number of hours of typing per evening for individual A is 4, and given by point EA at which the marginal private benefit to individual A or MPBA equals the private marginal cost to individual A, given by MPCA. Evening work by individual A, however, also create noise and cost for individual B. The marginal social cost, or MSG, is thus given by vertical summation of MPCA and MPCB curves. From society's point of view, the best level of work by individual A is 3 hours per evening and is given by point ES at which MPBA equals MSG equals $8. In the right panel, the best number of hours for individual A to work in his or her yard is 6 hours per week and given by point EA at which MPBA equals MPCA. Individual A's yard work, however, generates an external benefit to individual B. The social benefit to individual MSB equals MPBA plus MPBB. The best level of yard work by individual A is 10 hours per week, as shown by point ES at which MSB equal MPCA equal MSC is $9. These two panels shows use of a tax or subsidy to overcome a negative or positive externalities. The left panel shows the socially optimal level of 3 hours of evening work is reached when the government imposes a tax of $3 per hour on evening typing on individual A. This shifts the MPCA curves by $3 so that the MPCA plus T curves intersect the MPBA curve at point ES at which MPBA equals MSB equals MSG. The right panel shows that individual A can be induced to demand or consume the socially optimal home improvement that result from tending his or her yard for 10 hours per week by giving his or her consumption subsidy of $3 per hour. This shifts the MPBA curve by $3 so that MPBA plus T curve intersects the MPCA curve at point ES at which MSB equals MPCA equals MSG. In some industries, economies of scale operate continuously as output expands, so that a single firm could supply the entire market more efficiently than a number of smaller firms. Such a large firm supplies the entire market is called a natural monopoly. One of the examples is public utilities. At the natural monopoly, the long-run average cost, or LAC, has a negative slope, and the long-run marginal cost, or LMC, is below LAC. To ensure the monopolist earns only a normal rate of return on investment, the regulatory commission usually sets at the price or equal of LAC. This graph shows that a regulatory commission usually set price at LAC or $3 at which output is 6 million units per time period, and the public utility breaks even in the long run. At K equals 6 million, however, P below LMC, and more of the service is desirable from society's point of view. The best level of output from society's point of view is 8 million units per time period and is given by point H, at which P equals LMC equals $1. However, that would result in a loss of $1 per unit and 8 million in total, and the public utility company would not supply the service in the long run without subsidy of $1 per unit. In reality, rate regulation is difficult in practice. The regulation can also lead to inefficiencies because guaranteed returns gives little incentive to control costs. These inefficiencies can be explained by Albert-Johnson effect that set rates that are set too high or too low can lead to over or under investment by in plant and equipment by utility. Finally, there is usually a lag of 9 to 12 months from the time the need for a rate change is recognized and the time is granted. Now, let's talk about antitrust. Antitrust resulted from public indignation over the rapid increase in the concentration of economic power. The abuses that resulted from it led to the passage of antitrust law, starting with Sherman Act of 1890. This act said contract is made by combination in the form of a trust or conspiracy and in restraint of trade is illegal, and made monopolization or conspiracies to monopolize market is also illegal. Another antitrust law is Clayton Act issued in 1914. This act made it illegal to engage in any of the following if the effect was to license competition or create a monopoly, such as price discrimination, exclusive or trying contract, acquisition of competitor stocks, and interlocking directorates among competitors. And there are also another antitrust law to supplement the Clayton Act, such as Federal Trade Commission Acts that forbid unfair methods of competition. And then Robinson-Patman Act forbids unreasonable low prices. And then Wheeler-Lea Act forbid false or deceptive advertising to protect consumer. The last, Saylor-Kefauver Anti-Merger Act forbid purchasing stocks or assets of the competitor if such purchases lessen the competition or tends to create monopoly. Antitrust violation or alleged violations resolved by dissolution and divestiture for monopoly or anti-merger violation, and then injunction, consent decree, and also fines and jail sentences. Antitrust policy was also directed against anti-competitive industry conduct. This result to conscious parallelism was ruled to be illegal when reflecting collusion, and then predatory pricing is also illegal. Now, let's take a look at international competition. There are many ways by which national governments regulate international trade to protect domestic market. Some of these regulations are tariff that is simply tax on import, and then import quota that restrict in quantity of imports, voluntary export restraint for the exporter to restrict their quantity of exports, and the last, anti-dumping complaints. These graphs explain the effect of an import tariff on consumption, production, and imports. The DX and SX refer to domestic demand and supply curve of commodity X, while SF and SX and F refer respectively to the foreign supply curve of the nation imports of commodity X, with and without an import tariff of $1 per unit. With the import tariff, price for domestic consumer is $4 instead of $3. Domestic consumer purchase of 500 of commodity X instead of 600, and domestic producer produce 300 commodity X instead of 200 without import tariff. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this will help you all. Thank you very much and goodbye.